I want to talk about the latest CPI numbers. So these are the latest numbers, right? So apparently it's 6.5%. Obviously, it looks like it's on its way down. But I just want to remind everybody, like they have a history of changing this. Look at the price of things, like look at the price of living, look at real estate prices. Do you really fundamentally believe that the CPI, the consumer price index, is 6.5%? Or right, we don't know, we like what I'm suggesting, maybe like they're changing the revisions and they're tweaking them a little bit to make themselves look a little bit better. And then there's this tweet by Wall Street Silver, and he took a picture, and here is Stock Talk Weekly. It says, important, today was the last CPI print that was being that will be calculated by the current methodology. February CPI print will be the first report based on a new methodology. CPI was formerly based on 2 years of consumption data. Now CPI will be based on a single year of data. Like I wonder, like I wonder, it's interesting because and I call it changing the goalpost because that's what it is. Like, why is it that it only kind of skews in one direction, which is like lower inflation, lower whatever. But I think that you can only do this so far before it just starts to become like straight up like propaganda at that point. I would make the case that it's 6.5% theft, right? Your purchasing power, if you believe the official data. But if you look at rental prices, if you look at housing cost, if you look at the real estate prices, if you look at all of those things, it's a lot more than 6.5%, right? So this idea that for society to function and for the economy to work and whatever, you have to lose 6.5% of your purchasing power is absolutely ridiculous. And yeah, like I think Opti, I think it's appropriate that maybe we show everybody what we're talking about. While I pull it up, what's your take on this?
All right, perfect. Yeah, cool. It's absolutely amazing that they changed how they measure CPI this month. No longer are they going to use multiple year data or 2 years of data. They're just going to use 1 year of data because it's something we've said for a long time on this show, is that CPI is used to lie and manipulate not only the narrative, but the money supply. And as long as they can, like you said, as long as they can get people to follow these official numbers and believe that CPI inflation is under control, then they'll continue to figure out ways to kick the can down the road. And again, this is narrative war. Like you asked the question, is this not propaganda or is it propaganda? I would say it is 100% propaganda. I mean, we know as Bitcoiners and anyone that follows the central banks as closely as we have, the dollar has been decimated since the creation of the Fed in 1913, and they can continue to sweep this under the rug because people still believe in CPI numbers. But as we've brought the receipts this morning, and as we saw this morning, they continue to rearrange how CPI is calculated. I forget what website is out there, but you can calculate the CPI numbers based on, I don't know, like old metrics of how they calculate CPI, and you can see that even via the past metric, it's extremely high. And yet, as you said in the past, you can't hide the sticker shock. And I think everyone is feeling the fact that things are getting more expensive. I mean, we saw the meme on Twitter this week about eggs and the price of eggs, and how if you saved in eggs, it'd be a store of value in the last year or two. But I'm just going to reiterate the question that we've been asking, and that NICO asked, and that we're going to continue to ask. Like, why are we getting forced to use a money that steals from us? Why are the powers that be continuously trying to shape the narrative and convince us to use a money that steals from us? This is what the CPI is. It's a tool to try to convince you to use a money that is designed to steal from you. Look, guys, it's not stealing from you that much, man. Like, be okay with it, accept it. It's like, no, You can opt out of this madness. You can opt into the Bitcoin standard, and your currency, your value will not get debased. 21 million Bitcoin hard cap. This is a feature, not a bug. Like, this is literally what was in the Genesis block. Like, this is what we're fighting for.
Let's hear from the one and only Jeff Booth, and let's see what he has to say when I asked him, hey, Jeff, do you think inflation is necessary for an economy to run? Anyways, let's check out what he has to say. Awesome. Really, really cool. So, Jeff, I'm going to rip off the Band-Aid right from the rip. And this is something that I've been debating in my head for the last 6 months, right? And frankly, the other side has either, you can call it propaganda, you can call it whatever it is, but I'm just going to ask you directly, do you believe inflation is necessary? And if not, why?
I don't believe that's true. I don't believe inflation is necessary. And I think first you'd have to prove why would that be true? Why would money losing value each year be necessary for a productive economy? I know it's built. I know our economy is built that way, but I do not believe that's true at all. I think the productivity gains that humans naturally take on through finding new, better ways to solve problems would be broadly distributed to society in the best way without inflation. In other words, there'd be no theft in money. There'd be no transfer of money. It would raise some other, what happens, typically what governments like is, okay, what happens when in a downturn? How do we gain more control? How do we protect people? But what they don't know, what they do by doing that is they make these bubbles bigger, and they make the inevitable collapse of the bubble bigger as well. Whereas a system is designed to fail spectacularly. That's where we are today, unfortunately.
Amen. The legendary Jeff Booth. I can't say it that way, but I really do agree.